Did you direct anyone to move the boxes, Mr. President? Did you tell anyone to move the boxes?
I don't talk about anything. You know why? Because I'm allowed to do whatever I want. I come under the Presidential Records Act. I'm not telling you. Every time I talk to you, I have a breaking story. You don't have any story. I come under the Presidential Records Act. I'm allowed to do everything I did.
Okay, so that is former President Donald Trump getting pretty pissed with right-wing commentator Hugh Hewitt on his show, simultaneously saying, I'm not gonna tell you everything, and also I can do whatever I want. Now, Adrienne, I feel like from a legal perspective, and my God, the layers of lawyers who are rolling their eyes at all this, it's like, you just don't say anything. You stick with the first answer. The second answer, if I can do whatever I want, is a little bit of a tell that he moved those boxes.
Yeah, I think we know at this point that Donald Trump's lips moving. There's likely to be lies spewing. You would really think that this individual would learn to be quiet after a certain amount of time, but because he has not faced consequences over the course of his life, he feels he can go out and say whatever he wants. But my heart goes out to his counsel, because it's like the man won't shut up. He just won't shut up.
Right. Now, he might have been a little extra pissed. Usually he takes these opportunities where he can get them going on these shows that are gonna sort of give him little layups, make him look like a hero. Although that was a semi-tough question, did you move the boxes or not? But it turns out that maybe someone who had something to do with the cover up of the moving of the boxes has flipped on him. It seems that the office of Jack Smith has reached a deal with the head of IT at Mar-A-Lago. Now, usually the head of IT at Mar-A-Lago just sort of gives the same, Russian and Chinese spies like different kinds of Wi-Fi passwords. And this time, however, it was different, obviously, I'm joking. In fact, a former attorney for the IT manager, Stanley Woodward, made the revelation in a court filing responding to the Justice Department's arguments that he had a potential conflict of interest because of his representation of another key figure in the Mar-a-Lago probe, Trump valet Walt Nauta. Walt is, of course, also indicted, being charged with the same thing that the former president is, but is not a former president, did not have those supposed privileges that Trump claims he had. But so Stanley's representing both of these people. And so it turns out that there was a little bit of info dropped in one of these court filings. In the case, the worker testified before a federal grand jury that in July returned an updated indictment against Trump. Nauta and another Mar-a-Lago employee, Carlos de Oliveira, accusing the men of conspiring to delete surveillance footage from the property. All three men have pleaded not guilty. The indictment alleges that de Oliveira, this is the IT manager, the property manager, this is the property manager, told the IT director, who we don't have their name, identified in court papers as Trump employee 4, that the quote boss wanted surveillance footage deleted. The Justice Department does not allege that the footage was actually deleted. And in fact, security video alleged to show Nauta moving boxes in and out of a storage room forms a critical accusation in the indictment. In other words, this Trump employee 4 was asked to delete this footage. It didn't get deleted, but it seems like we have now, in all of the filings and all of the digging and all of the different people who are being represented and all of the charges, we now know this was a request from Trump. And it might have flipped this IT director against Trump himself. Special Counsel Jack Smith's team said in a court filing last month that the IT director had retracted a prior false testimony after being advised last summer of a potential conflict because of Woodward's representation of Nauta. He then switched lawyers and provided new and incriminating information in the run-up to the new or superseding indictment in July, prosecutors have said. Now, I'm Adrienne, maybe you can help me make sense of this, but it seems like because he's not being charged in the same way that Trump and Nauta are being charged, but he's being represented by their same attorney, he's not being protected in the same way, it seems. So I don't know, it seems like he gave false testimony when Woodward was his lawyer. Now it's like, wait a minute, there's a conflict of interest here, and he needs to switch it up, and he did, and now he's being truthful and maybe even flipping. Maybe help me make sense of that.
No, you hit the nail on the head. The fact is there's a conflict of interest by having this attorney Woodward represent all three of them when their interests are different. The fact is that this IT director had incriminating information on Trump, and thus Woodward couldn't represent him fully because it's in his best interest to make a deal against Trump. Right. And that sounds like this is exactly what the gentleman is doing now that he has proper counsel. The thing that I want to point out about this IT director is that Jack Smith would probably be in a better position to either remove charges against the IT director or try to give him a very, very low level charge, because the thing is even if you make a plea deal with the prosecutor, that does not guarantee that that's the punishment or amount of time you're gonna get. The prosecutor merely asks the judge to please give you a set amount of time as a penalty or punishment. And knowing that we have Judge Eileen Cannon, who is very Trump friendly, going against anybody who seems to be anti-Trump, she could end up giving this IT director an incredible amount of time to send a message on behalf of Trump, and that's very scary.
Right, absolutely. And it doesn't seem like, though, it's not clear what he's being charged with, if anything at all. He just has information. And so he better lawyer up, and he better lawyer up differently, again, because you're exactly right. Like, their interests are different because of what he was asked to do. And it seems like didn't do it. He didn't actually delete the footage because the footage is available of boxes being moved.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.